Every single day, you're hit with this tidal wave of information. I'm talking articles, videos, social media posts, headlines. It's completely overwhelming. So, how do you even begin to sort through it all? Well, today, we're going to build a mental toolkit. Let's dive in and figure out how to become smarter, more critical navigators of our crazy digital world. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the problem, feeling like you're drowning in information. Then we'll get into the architecture of knowledge itself, like how we even know stuff. After that, we'll build our toolkit, put it into practice, and finally, we'll look at the most important part of this whole equation, the human factor. Okay, let's just jump right into the deep end because this is really the core challenge of our time. We're not just accessing information anymore, are we? We are absolutely drowning in it. And maybe the biggest struggle of all is trying to figure out what's real and what isn't. I mean, seriously, it's a question we all ask ourselves, probably way more than we'd like to. You're scrolling through your feed, you're watching the news, and that little voice in your head pops up. That feeling of uncertainty? It's a shared daily struggle for all of us. And it's a struggle that has some pretty real consequences. Yeah, and this isn't just about, being right in an online argument. The source material for this explainer points out something absolutely crucial. This information overload fundamentally messes with everything. It affects how we make decisions, what we think is important, and even how we talk to each other. So having an organized strategy isn't just a nice to have, it's totally essential. So to build that strategy, we've got to start with the foundation. We need to understand the basic ways our brains even process knowledge. We have to ask a really fundamental question. How do we actually know what we know? All right, first up is what the source calls direct knowledge. This is super simple. It's primal. It's the knowledge you get from your own senses. You touch a hot stove, you learn that it burns, right? Nobody had to tell you. Your body experienced it directly. That, right there, is direct knowledge. And then there's indirect knowledge. And honestly, this is, it's almost everything else. It's any knowledge that comes to you through a medium, a book, a friend telling you something, or, let's be real, a screen. So you read an article that the stove is hot, or you watch a video of someone else touching it. You didn't experience it yourself, but you got the information. And this is where our digital lives create this really fascinating gray area. Think about it. The actual act of you looking at your phone is a direct experience. Your eyes are seeing the light, your hands are holding the device. But the information on that screen, say a news story from another country, that's purely indirect. Our brains have a really hard time separating the two, and that little bit of confusion is exactly where we can get into trouble. And of course, it gets even more complicated. The layers just keep building. We process information differently based on space. Is this happening in my backyard or on another continent? It matters. And on time. Are we talking about ancient history or a prediction for next year? And on the object itself. See how all these layers get tangled up? This is exactly why we need a toolkit to help us sort it all out. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. Now for the solution. Let's start putting together the foundational tools. These are the core mental attitudes you really need to bring to any piece of information you come across. Here they are, the first 5 essentials. First up, skepticism. Make doubt, not instant belief, your default setting. Second, check opposing views. Go out of your way to find the other side of the story. Third, verify reality. Remember, digital stuff is unbelievably easy to fake. Fourth, awareness. Just take a second to consciously label the info. Is this direct, indirect? And finally, distance. Try to step outside of your own personal bubble and biases. I really love this quote from the source material because it totally reframes the idea of skepticism. It's not about being negative or cynical. Think of it as a defense mechanism. It's your first and probably your most powerful weapon against being misled by bad information. Okay, foundation is in place. Now it's time to add the next set of tools to our kit. And these ones are more action-oriented. They're all about how to actively analyze the information that's sitting right there in front of you. So here's the analysis process in 5 steps. Step 1, look closely at the language and the images. Ask yourself, how are these being used to make me feel a certain way? Step 2, check the source. Always ask, who is telling me this and what do they want? Step 3, dial down the emotion. Especially when content is shocking, take a breath and think rationally. Step 4, deconstruct it. Break the information down into its smallest parts to find any weak spots. And step 5, get some context. The more you know about the world in general, the harder you are to fool. Just think about it for a second. We have all been there.
You see that headline that makes your heart pound or your blood boil, and you click. That emotional hook is an incredibly powerful tool. Learning to recognize it and then choosing to engage your rational brain instead, that's a skill, and it's one of the most important ones in your entire toolkit.
So we've got our toolkit, we're ready to go, but there's one last really profound piece to this whole puzzle, and it's the piece that honestly brings it all together, the human element. This right here is the ultimate takeaway from all this. We can search all we want for some pure, objective truth, but what do we almost always find at the center of it? People. We find human intentions, human perspectives, human biases, and human flaws. Information is never just data floating in the void. It's created and shared by us. So in the search for truth, what we really end up finding is ourselves.
And that leaves us with one last really vital question to think about. If information and truth are shaped by people, well, that includes you. Every single time you share an article, post a comment, or even just decide to accept something as true, you are playing a role. So, with this new toolkit in hand, the question isn't just how you'll consume information, it's how you'll responsibly help to shape it.